I had a panic attack in front of a large customer early in my career. Finally, when the pandemic hit, I had as we all did, we had a moment to reflect, we had a moment to pause, and I really started to be diligent about tracking some of the non-traditional sales metrics like sleep and how well recovered I was, how good of a mood I was in. It started to become more of a leading indicator than how many meetings I booked, how many proposals were sent out. So I was actually closing more and getting more sleep. So I was like, whoa, I'm onto something here. I need to change my way, and I need to dive a little bit deeper into this.
I'm Devin Reed.
And I'm Sheena Badani.
And you're watching Reveal, the Revenue Intelligence podcast powered by Gong.
Keep watching here to see the full interview, or if you like to listen to podcasts on the go, check out the links in the description below.
And if you like what you hear, subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or all of them. Why not? And while you're there, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. We personally read every single one, and I think I speak for both of us when I say they mean the world to us.
Could not agree more, Devin. Now, without further ado, here's the episode you've been waiting for. Brandon, welcome to Reveal. We're so thrilled to have you on the show today.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I have to say, I took a look at your LinkedIn profile, of course, before we had our initial conversation, and I was very blown away by your accomplishments. You have sold over $50 million to leading brands. You're like a linked influencer. You have thousands of folks that are following you. You're a thought leader in the space. So, I was really, really intrigued and amazed by all of that. And then when we spoke, I was even more blown away just by your perspectives on what we're going to talk about today, this anti-hustle culture. So hats off to you on all of that.
Yeah, awesome. You're making me blush.
Today you're VP of Sales at LivePerson. Mm-hmm. And I think we were talking about while you were there, you kind of came across this idea of anti-hustle culture. Tell us more, like what is that, and how did you realize it was time for a change?
Yeah, like many in sales, no matter where you are, whether you're an SDR, an account executive, a strategic seller, I was guilty of it too. You're told you got to get up really early. It's wearing a lack of sleep is like wearing it on your sleeve like a badge of honor. And we look up to entrepreneurs. We look up to like top sellers in the past few years as, hey, I just got to work and grind and hustle around the clock in order to be successful. And I was successful in that world, but it just led to burnout. Having to do it month over month, every single quarter, every single year. I had health issues. I had physical health issues. In my early 30s, I had an idiopathic stroke. Idiopathic meaning there's no known cause for it. And I didn't have a hole in my heart, no heavy drug use or anything that a young person would have a stroke because of. The only thing I could point to was like how hard I was hustling and grinding around the clock. And mental health issues, depression, anxiety, panic attacks. Mm-hmm. I had a panic attack in front of a large customer early in my career. Mm-hmm. And so these things, I couldn't connect the dots. But finally, when the pandemic hit, I had as we all did, we had a moment to reflect. We had a moment to pause. And I really started to be diligent about tracking some of the non-traditional sales metrics like sleep and how well recovered I was and, how good of a mood I was in. And what I found just by tracking this stuff every single day, it started to become more of a leading indicator than how many meetings I booked, how many proposals were sent out. And I started combining actually the two things. And I found actually I was able to accelerate deals and close more in 100% completely remote environment, which is not traditional in enterprise and strategic sales. So I was actually closing more and getting more sleep versus it took me a lot longer to accumulate high occurring, annual recurring revenue, working the old way. So I was like, whoa, I'm onto something here. I need to change my way, and I need to dive a little bit deeper into this.
It really kind of took you a culmination of a lot of different things that were, maybe I could say, serious for you to realize that you needed to change. How do you talk to other folks who are maybe like earlier in their career or middle of their career that they don't get to that point and that they can be more proactive about this?
Yeah, so I talk to a lot of folks. I do mentoring, and it's something I love to do now because it's a two-way street. I get something out of mentoring as well. And my advice is usually be intentional, be purposeful in your actions. And if you can give yourself little moments to be still, be quiet, and reflect, you can actually achieve more in sales by higher quality actions. And certainly in strategic sales, I learned that as well, that I don't need a whole lot of deals in a year to satisfy quota and meet the personal targets that I have. And so I stumbled upon this really a few years ago when I worked with a strong manager that I was working with at the time. He became a mentor to me, and we set about a theme for the year, which was, let's slow down in order to speed up. What he was observing from me was that I was saying yes to everything the previous year. And that was piling up because I had these big aspirations. I wanted to do high quality work, but I couldn't deliver that high quality work because I didn't have the moments in my day for that deep work to go deeper on an account. And by sort of saying no and prioritizing no and focusing on a subset of higher quality engagements, I was actually able to accelerate my deals and go deeper with those accounts and actually build stronger relationships.
Well, I want to start by thanking you for being this honest and vulnerable. I know to you, you're probably like, I've done it for a little while now. I'm kind of used to it. But for a lot of people listening, this is, maybe the first time they're hearing it, especially from someone at a senior level and the success that Sheena mentioned. But I think it's important to normalize these conversations, right? Because until people feel like this is not revolutionary, it's going to be hard for people to actually make a change.
Yeah.
And so I know the word traumatic means a lot of things. Sometimes I think in the workspace, it's kind of like, is that really traumatic? But if things hang on with you in the negative capacity, it is, to an extent traumatic. And I've experienced similar things, especially right now as we're in Q4 for a lot of people at the time of recording this. It's usually the highest stress, highest pressure. A lot of it is self-inflicted, right? Because we build up these, expectations in our head and all these sorts of things. So I think the timing is perfect. I know for me and probably for others, they're probably itching like, okay, but how can I kind of make that change, right? Because it can't be an all at once thing when that's your lifestyle and your mindset. These things take time to shift. So I'm curious if you could share a little, Brandon, about your personal operating system, right? There's kind of the hustle, we all know the hustle way, and you described that well. What's the anti-hustle personal operating system for you?
Yeah, I think it is really timely as we head into a new year. Because that's the way I look at it. I really try to zoom out, and I've gotten away from New Year's resolutions. I've gotten away from even goals. And we've been taught for so long, goals need to be smart. And the first S is be specific. And I fundamentally disagree with that because it's very easy to make goals linear. But we know life is like this. It's a zigzag. And look at, just a couple of years ago, right? I was heading into 2020, coming off of a monster year, and I was focused only on new business. So you can imagine what happened in February, March of 2020. I literally was engaged with accounts that, folks were furloughed, and that completely decimated new business. My pipeline was already thin coming off of a strong year. But I was able to stay calm. I was able to stay resilient because of a system that was underpinning sort of my philosophy and focus. And so what I try to do for a year is go into it with a theme. So I alluded to one of the years going into 2019 it was all about slowing down in order to speed up. And so I work around a theme, and then from there, I build core principles, like literally like a company has core operating principles and guiding principles. I think we need to be that as sellers. We hear it all the time. You be a mini CEO of your business. I think it's true. Be a CEO of your life, and work to like integrate work and life, versus this fallacy that there is true work-life balance. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but I think it's really important to like zoom out, have a theme for the year, and then, well, how do I get there? How do I achieve this? How do I embody this theme? So that's where your principles come in handy. And then from there, that allows me to dissect over the course of a year, the building blocks. The single unit of success is a single workday. And I've come up with a framework that I call PREP. And it stands for plan, rest, effort, and perform. And underpinning that is something I call DFC. Not that we need more acronyms in sales, but it really has sort of given me a mental model to work from. But DFC stands for being disciplined, being flexible, and being curious. And I think as you go through anything with a beginning, a middle, and an end, whether that's a workday, a sales cycle, a meeting, a demo, I like to be disciplined at the start. So I need to do my research. I need to become prepared. I think of myself like an athlete would warm up and get ready for competition or a hard training session. You need to be disciplined at the start. And then during the middle, as things get crazy, right, there are things that I can't control. So there, I need to be more like a creative artist and be flexible, because an artist knows how to stay in the moment, be in the zone, and pivot when necessary. And then at the end, I need to be curious, like a scientist would, because they don't look back with emotion. They look back and they try to find data points. How can I improve? How could I have made that demo better? How could I have made that discovery call better? And I don't want to tie myself to attachment. I want to detach from emotion. And so that sort of is my system. And then what I do with prep, again, going into a single unit of success, a workday, I try to plan as the last thing I do as work today. So I review how things went through curiosity, and then I plan out tomorrow. And then that allows me to step away, truly step away, and rest and recover and be with my wife, be present, not looking down at my phone because I've already cleared out my inbox. I've already gotten everything out of my head that I know I need to do. So I'm not thinking about it. If you're with a child, or if you're with a spouse or with a partner, whatever it is, you can actually be fully present with them and enjoy your life outside of work. That then allows me to get proper rest. Nothing's nagging at me when I'm trying to sleep, so I can actually get good quality sleep. That then allows me to put 100% effort into what I want to focus on and attack my plan, because it's already waiting for me. So I can go 100% fully focused, with intensity, with intention, with purpose. And then the final P, again, is all about analyzing that performance. Did I achieve what I set out to do with my plan? And how can it be better? And how can I double down on the things that are working? And it becomes this flywheel that just keeps me going, and natural outcomes. Now it's what were typically goals. I want to achieve quota. I want to earn X. I want to win these accounts. They just become natural outcomes. I don't get obsessive about those things. I don't become attached to those things. I've fallen in love with the process, my personal operating system.
I like that a lot. I specifically like the focus on quality rest. It clicked for me, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I heard on this podcast, they did this like little quasi experiment, nothing official in a lab, but they had these people get 6 hours of rest and then do some reaction tests. Mm-hmm. Maybe probably 6 hours isn't that bad, right? Like, I mean, it's not the 7 to 9 we're told, but like 6 isn't the worst. If you're a parent, you've surely had 6 hours probably this week if you're lucky. And then they had them, I think it was 2 or 3 drinks. So it was like at that like drunk level, like where you shouldn't be driving.
Yeah.
And had them do the same reaction tests. They performed worse having only had a sober 6 hours of sleep than essentially being drunk.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. I was like, oh, so I'm basically showing up to work drunk. In a way. Now, we all know what I mean when I say that. Obviously, there's different factors. But like, that's pretty powerful stuff to think about it. And then you think you're not showing up to, and if you think about it literally, you would never show up to work drunk.
Right.
Ever, let alone days on end, which is like, one time, and I'm not going to go into if you should or shouldn't do that. If it happens, whatever you do. But you know what I mean? It's like, if you value your career, if you value your team and your performance, you would never do that. But here we are, to your point, hustling and not giving ourselves enough rest.
Yeah. And it creeps in other ways too. I know that study well that you referenced, Devin. And there's an awesome app that I really got into when the pandemic hit. It's called Rise Science. It's really cool. It's super simple. It just lives on your smartphone, and it understands 2 things really well. It understands your sleep debt, and it understands your natural circadian rhythm. When are those peak energy levels and when are those dips? And what I've found is it's awesome to actually schedule and manage my day around that natural energy flow. And so I do my highly strategic work. I do my high leverage and high value impact work during my peak energy states. And then I update the CRM. I go through my inbox during the dips. But a lack of sleep is proven in sales. It's impacting your ethics. You might say something that you can't commit to when you're sleep deprived. Your functional, cognitive capabilities. When a C-level executive is pushing back on, value that you're trying to position in an ROI analysis, you might not be as sharp as you can when you're sleep deprived and stressed and constantly multitasking. So these things can have an impact when you focus on them on a micro level, and it's often missed in sales. We're in the game of human connection, and we often lose that, and we have certainly lost that. It's important to have great technology. It's important to have good insights into data, but we can't skip out on the human component to a very human business.
Absolutely. Sheena, we're hearing a lot of themes
I know.
recently. If your ears are ringing, Dan Pink, best-selling author, was here talking about peaks and troughs and scheduling your time around it. Deanie Mehta from CRO at Lattice was here just a couple days ago, talking about going slow to go fast. So you're in great company, and I love seeing these themes.
Yeah, Dan Pink's book "When" is a great book. That really got me focused on. It's not just about what you do; it's when you do it, and I am a firm believer in that.
Absolutely.
So, Brandon, tell us a little bit, once you implemented your framework, your prep framework, as well as like this anti-hustle approach, what was the impact to you personally?
Yeah, so operating the old way, being on a plane every week, up late at night, grabbing a Red Bull or a quad shot latte in the afternoon just to keep going, stay on the hamster wheel. It took me 2 years, fully 2 years, to close $11 million in annual recurring revenue, which was great, right? It was successful for myself and for the company, but it took a mental toll. It took a physical toll on my health. It took strained relationships and so forth. However, operating the new way under prep and DFC and prioritizing my health, I was able to close over $14 million in ARR in 10 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot was going into that. It wasn't just like prioritizing my health, but it was combining that with like really intentional deep work and being thoughtful about what I did, but also measuring my mood. And I came up with this little thing, I call it Thrive Space. It's just a Google sheet, and I was tracking those 3 tranches those three areas of my health data, specifically sleep, how well rested and recovered I was from things like Rise and a wearable called Whoop that measures my sleep. And then I was measuring my deep work efforts, which was sort of giving me guidance on how much I was achieving and leveling up my skills. And then finally, I would just measure my mood. Like, did I achieve what I wanted to achieve? Like, I would kind of gamify that and score myself on the 5 intentions that I would do, very simple intentions. Did I work out? Did I meditate? Did I do the things that I normally want to do every single day? And then just measuring my overall mood. And that I had the sheet kind of aggregate all of that, and it gave me this holistic score. And that's what I was starting to optimize around, was this Thrive score of like, I want to be happy in what I do. I want to feel fulfilled. I want to be, and the higher that score was, it was always because I was well rested. I stuck to my routines, and that naturally led to higher optimized mood. And the natural output of that was closing really large deals a lot faster than I did operating the old way.
That's amazing.
It sounds like awareness and discipline are kind of the core foundation of these frameworks. I'd love, Brandon, if for the listeners, you could maybe share some like awareness triggers. Like what I'm trying to get to is like getting folks who are listening to be aware, like maybe I'm hustling too hard, or I'm doing things like that I consider normal. I think that's the big thing, is like, oh, I thought this was normal and everyone's doing it, but there's a better way. So what are some of those things that folks can look out for, whether you're, a sales rep or a sales leader, to maybe, start thinking about making some changes?
Yeah. One simple thing is, do you feel like you need to drink caffeine in the afternoon? That was a big one for me. And I started to learn, again, through these habits and these routines that, well, one, scientifically, caffeine will stay in your body for 10 hours. So if you're having caffeine after noon, it's going to impact your sleep, physiologically. And I was drinking caffeine all the time because, again, I was on little sleep. I wasn't quite knowing how much sleep I was getting because I wasn't wearing the wearable. I wasn't like tracking those things. I was just doing what I normally thought was needed to win really large strategic deals. And that did require staying up to work on that presentation, to be ready in the morning, jumping time zones to get to a meeting. So those things just seemed inherent and natural to me. But again, when I started operating in this new way, I was like, whoa, I don't need caffeine in the afternoon. If anything, if I'm feeling that dip, that trough that Dan Pink talks about, I'm better suited to go take a walk outside, or hell, even a power nap. I actually talk about that. I will, I'll take I set my timer for 39 minutes, but even if I don't sleep, just resting and being still and being quiet, that's much more effective than grabbing that third or fourth cup of coffee in the afternoon, or whatever it is to keep you going. So that's like one really, really simple thing. Another thing, you can start to just be aware of your relationships, whether those are with your coworkers or with your prospects, or even with your household, anybody, your roommates, your family members. Like, how are those relationships? Are you irritable? Are you snapping back? Are you checked out because you're thinking about work, or you're thinking about something else? I think those are nice little triggers to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to be present, fully present in all aspects of my life. So when it's work, I'm 100% committed to the Zoom call. I'm not multitasking and thinking over here how to respond in Slack, or multitasking. I'm fully present. The same should hold true to everybody else in your personal life as well. So I think those are two small little things. There's tons of little triggers, but those are two big ones that you could identify pretty quickly. You need to grab that caffeine in the afternoon to keep going, mm-hmm. or are you snapping back at the people in your life?
Mm-hmm.
I want to plug your newsletter because I have a feeling there's probably more of those insights and tips as part of that, and a few. But I love the mindfulness thing. I'm working on it myself. I'll share my little, almost a silly hack, but I noticed the same thing, which was, people say, "Oh, now that you work from home, there's no commute." I'm like, I actually commute probably 6 times a day because when I leave my office and I go to the kitchen, my family's usually there, right? And so I'm commuting home, so to speak, and back again. But to your point, I'm bringing in my work. It's on my mind on the way down the stairs. I'm not shifting my mindset well enough. And I noticed that where I'm like, I'm hanging out with my, 1-year-old for, 5, 10, 15 minutes. I go back to work and I kind of don't really remember what happened because I wasn't really there. Yeah. And so I put this little sign on my door right by the handle. So I have to see it every time I leave the office. And it says, take a beat, which is like take a breath. Mm-hmm. And then it says super dad mode on and off. And I hit the on button. And I know this is like so cheesy, but I make myself look at it and go, you are off marketing for however long. Yeah. You're dad. And when you come back in the office, you can go back into, business life and all those things. So I've been doing it for a week, not perfect by any means, but definitely helpful. Those little awareness things are key.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Love it. Yeah.
I mean, Brandon, you've sold me on the whole approach, and I think I'm motivated to try to change some things in my own life. But I still find it hard, and I think other people will too, because of the FOMO and the pressures from externally, which could be from your team. Yep. It could be your manager who is hustling at 1 a.m. It could be what you see on social media that people are wearing themselves out because they're working so hard, and somehow that's cool and what's expected, and high performers are doing that. So what's your response to that kind of the external pressures?
Yeah. Being open, being authentic, being transparent to how you want to operate. So kind of, again, going back to that high level, when you define your core operating principles, you define your theme, go ahead and share that with your manager. Hey, here is part of my strategy. It's not just about looking at specific numbers that we're trying to hit. This is how I need to operate. And I think that's the missed component in sales. So just being open and honest and transparent. And if you get pushback, honestly, then you might have to question, am I in the right environment? Am I getting the proper support? I hate to say that, but it's just the truth. The second thing I would say too is control what you can control. And what I find is that there are 2 parts of the day I can absolutely control: how I start my day and how I end my day. I won't always be able to control what's happening in the middle of the day, incoming messages from the manager or the CEO or prospect clients, coworkers. So that's where, again, I need to be a bit more flexible, but I can be disciplined in the beginning and the start of the day. And if I commit to the routines that I know help put me in the right mindset, help put me in a calmer state of being, I will just naturally perform better versus instantly defaulting into reactive mode and giving my time away and my energy away first thing by starting in my inbox. I was guilty of it. I would just open my email, whether it's on my phone or the first thing I did, I used to live in my inbox. Now I live somewhere else. I live in, it's actually an app called Sensama where I can pull in my email, my calendars, all my to-dos into a single place and orchestrate my day. And I can prioritize based off of my energy states, based off of time it's going to take, and what's important to me, right? What gets me closer to my personal North Star? That's what I want to focus on. So control what you can control, focus on those things, and be open and transparent with your teammates and your managers. I think those are 2 very simple ways to just start to build that bridge.
Given a lot of great suggestions on new apps and tools to check out for the folks. Hopefully you're getting some referral codes through all of this.
It's funny you say that, actually, that some of them have approached me naturally because I've just been geeking out on it, and I naturally talk about them, and they've approached me, hey, and I'm happy to support them. I love it. It's not why I recommend these tools, but there's some really cool ones out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think Sheena saw me grab my pen and write down a
Yeah.
couple things on a piece of paper towel because that's all I had. But I was like, I can't miss this.
I've got
Even if it
tons
is
for you.
recorded.
I've got tons for you.
Well, fantastic. So let's do this. Before we head to our last question, you have a newsletter. Now, we are connected on LinkedIn. So I got to click like on your on post or something to get the algorithm to know that I want to follow you. But I'm going to sign up for the newsletter. Can you tell folks, Brandon, what that's about and where they can find it? And then before you say anything, listeners, I will put the link in the show notes. So you just got to click. But go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah. So absolutely, LinkedIn is the best place to follow me, and you can subscribe to, I call it Be Focused, Live Great. It is the personal newsletter. It's even more than a newsletter. It's a side project that I have to elevate the career path for salespeople, and also just operate in this anti-hustle way. So you can follow me there, and then BrandonFluharty.com is my personal website. It's a very simple website. You can also sign up for the newsletter that way, and you can have it sent to your inbox via email. I post bi-weekly, so the next one's going to drop next week. And I do have an ebook coming out. It's going to be the Anti-Hustle Guide to Earning 7 Figures a Year in SaaS Sales. And I deconstruct the 7 steps that I went through. So any of the newsletter subscribers, you will get first access when that drops early next year in 2022. And that's the best way to find me.
I'm excited. I'm going to go sign up for this thing right now. And I'm not just saying that. And I guard my inbox. I unsubscribe from at least 5 things a day. I don't know how they get me. They must be buying my info or something. But I'm very selective of the ones, I subscribe to. So I'm excited for that. Brandon, we're going to ask you the question we like to wrap with. We ask all of our guests. I'll be honest, Sheena, I usually have an answer in my head, like what I think folks are going to say, and I'm decent at guessing. I never reveal if I was right. I have no idea what Brandon's going to say. I genuinely, I maybe an idea, but I'm not sure. So anyway, Brandon, we like to ask everybody, how would you describe sales in one word?
Fulfilling. That's the first word that came to me.
Oh,
There you go.
that's very
You
fitting.
can elaborate if you want. I know we always kind of put you on the spot,
Yeah.
but if you want to elaborate, go for it. If not, we can move along.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think like many people, I happened into sales. It was not what I went to school for, and so it has built an amazing life for me. It has put me in a position to be able to retire at 43, which I plan to do in the next year, and give back to community, society, give back to the sales community, and help others. That's what's fulfilling to me, not the huge commission checks these days. And so that's my North Star now, and drive is to help others, get a piece of what I've been able to get from this amazing industry.
Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing all of your knowledge and experiences and being so open with us here on Reveal and for our audience.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.